Florida State goes down to the Virginia Cavaliers in one of the best Friday night games that you will see all season. Joe, I just did not see this one coming. When you recap Florida State and Virginia, I know we were tweeting this during the whole game, but my gosh, what are your thoughts? This was an amazing game to start off the weekend.
I think what cost them, it's pretty simple. They are not developed enough, and they did not improve enough defensively.
They did not.
They didn't. There were a lot of issues with tackling, a lot, and their run defense was incredibly problematic. They gave up so many big plays and so many broken tackles, and they allowed Chandler Morris to escape on so many runs. They had no answer defensively. And as excited as we got about Florida State, I don't think that should be in total panic mode and we throw them out the window and we say that they're cooked and Norvell's going to stay. I think that's overly reactive to the 100th degree. I also think there's been a lot of criticism of Malzahn, and I know that they didn't produce as much as many had hoped that they would in that game, but I still saw some really massive plays from Castellanos and Deuce Robinson.
Hold on. If you score 35-plus points and you're clamoring at your offense versus Virginia, then you're an idiot.
I think part of the argument that's been put out there is they should have scored more because UVA doesn't have a very good defense. I get it. I get the qualm, but it feels way more defensive because they just allowed so many explosives to a team that really should not have generated them. I'm not in panic mode.
211 yards on offense in the rushing game. That's not on Gus Malzahn.
I'm not in panic mode. I think that there's redeemability. I'm excited to see what happens with the Miami game, but this is just a really stupid loss that can't happen if you really want to win the ACC this year.
Chandler freaking Morris. I know he threw 3 picks. I get it. I don't care that he threw 3 picks, Joe, because he scored 5 touchdowns. He threw for 2. He ran for 3. Joe, I listen, you don't need a first-round quarterback to win college football games. This is the game, okay? At what point were you going to put a spy on Chandler Morris? At what point? And then when you did, he outran him. He threw some bad picks, and you converted on him. Joe, the 2 picks that he caught, you got 14 points off of it, and Malzahn was able to play complimentary football and get you back in the game. How many times were you going to allow Chandler Morris to make plays? And Joe, by the way, he ran for a 4th, and it got called back for a holding. You did not have an answer. And I think more than anything, the in-game adjustment not coming was a massive deal. How do you allow somebody to have 4 rushing touchdowns, 1 get called back? How do you allow that, Joe, in the red zone? That is what lost them the game. You look, the picks are the picks. It is what it is. Chandler Morris has been to more schools than anybody in the country, and you allowed him on 3rd down mostly to continue to convert. Speaking of 3rd down, by the way, Joe, Virginia went 7 of 13, above 50%. They kept staying on the field. It was a great game, but it was the Chandler Morris effect of being able to score in the red zone and them not being able to stop them that ultimately got Florida State beat. I don't want to look. Were you offensively crisp? No. You should. No. When you score 38 points, you should win. I'm sorry, you should win. You can say whatever you want about Gus. I don't think Castellanos played good at all, to be honest with you, and I think that he's limited as a thrower. But I saw a team again not take an opponent seriously, and Virginia was going for broke. And Chandler Morris put that team on his back and willed them to a win, man.
Well, that ultimately was the dagger for them, Blake, is that I think you put it well saying that you overlooked an opponent. And this is the problem that we have at the current moment with Norvell that ultimately is going to hold them back this upcoming season. They can't overlook a team like UVA. And I got to be honest with you. I know that UVA is receiving votes. I believe they actually were even ranked after the victory that they had. This is not a good Virginia team. It's not. They're probably not going to be ranked for very long. I'd be shocked to find if there are even UVA fans You surprisingly know a lot of people who went to UVA.
Well, there was enough to storm the field at the best stakes we've ever seen. That was awesome. I hope they didn't trample nobody, though.
I don't think that they did. I think everybody was fine. You can't overlook opponents like that. And Florida State has a relatively survivable remaining schedule after the Miami game. Their next most challenging game appears to be against Florida after the Miami game. The problem is, though, Blake, is Georgia Tech survives against Wake Forest. And now you are in a trailing position. You are going to be chasing Georgia Tech for that second spot in the conference. If they don't beat Miami this weekend, Blake, it is going to dig themselves into a very, very serious hole. And my big issue, and this is a little bit of a quick look ahead, I think Miami is going to win this thing easily. They can't stop the run, and they give up too many big plays because they don't tackle. That's not going to work against Miami. Y'all see what happens when people don't fit in, do their run fits correctly, and they don't come downhill?
On that team and that offensive line coming off a bye week?
Recipe for disaster, Blake.
Recipe for disaster. But Miami better not overlook somebody, too. I mean, like, you can't over – I don't think they will because it's a rival. Joe, I got to defend Florida State on something that I know they think I hate them. I don't. The reset of the play clock was bullshit. I know that Florida State didn't score in the second overtime, so you can be mad at the play clock all you want to and them resetting it for the 2-point conversion. I get all of that. The problem with that is that you didn't score. And if you would have scored and the Deuce Robinson back of the end zone catch is actually a catch, fine, and you lose because you don't get a 2-point conversion, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. It didn't matter. You gave up 46 points. You gave up 46. And, Joe, the thing that I would say, you're right. If you want to talk about Florida State was their tackling wasn't out. But I got to give Virginia some credit here because I feel like it's been all about Florida State. I felt like I had a culture. I felt like I felt the culture being immersed with Virginia. Now, I know we've been talking a lot about Florida State here, and I know that Virginia is the 24th team of the country. They lost to NC State a couple of weeks ago, and Morris didn't have a completely great game. But, Joe, here's what I'd say. Over the last couple of weeks, you should have known that this was coming if you're Florida State. And this is what makes it worse. Against NC State, Taylor ran for 150. Wiley ran for 150. Taylor went over the century mark against Stanford in total yardage. And then you had Florida State where he went over the century mark again, almost pushing 150, where they want to get the running backs involved. And when Tony Elliott was at Clemson and he had guys and they threw the running back the ball a lot and how they ran, how did you not know to cover a wheel route? I don't think they were prepared a lot. They looked like a team that was very unprepared, and Tony Elliott and company took it to them. So not good. Not good at all. All right.